No, I have. You hear me? Okay? No, I'll just stick with the agenda. can't hear too well what's going on. What was it? The subject? What'd you say? Oh yeah. Well, I mentioned before it's easy to you know outsource, but no one seems interested. But yeah, it's I mean it could be done reasonably, and I mean it's up to you. It was already kind of rejected, but that is always an option. You don't have to go to them. This outsourcing thing is very popular now, very safe, and like I said, I worked on both sides of it as a contractor and as being contracted, and it's reasonable money. Uh, and if you have a few parties, you could split it up. And the thing is about this, if someone quits on you, you can replace them in a day. No bullshit. You know what I mean? It's very very strong. I worked on it for I was working making my living on it for 2 years. So I mean that's an option, but yeah, it's called Upwork. I even saw them advertising on it on TV now. But it's worldwide. You can get somebody from another country. I realized when I started doing that, most of the world, well, I realized it when I did my business, which was international. Most of the world speaks English because they make better money if they can speak English. And that's just the way it is. You would think, oh, they're from Japan or something. They all speak English. It's amazing. Anyway, that's about it for me. If you want to check it out, you can easily, you can easily. Yeah, it was, but you were speaking about 3 or 4 towns using the same dispatcher. If it was split up, it could be doable. That's the way I saw it. But I don't know too much about what you're doing anyway. I just threw it out there. It is an option if you could you split it up enough so the price gets down. Because we're not the only town using it, right? Well, I don't know. It's I don't know enough about what you're doing to really make an opinion. I brought that out there. If you've already looked at it and you don't think it can work, that's fine. That's good. Okay. First of all, these rules have been used multiple times to violate my constitutional rights. I don't like it, and it's not fair. I mean, uh, there's a lot of laws that the select board has ignored and refuses to comply with, and we all know that. I've been dealing with it for 5 years, in particular the water system. We're not allowed to know anything that goes on with the water system because you had this this law that you made up, you or Denise or whoever, and it said that a meeting is really not a meeting because it's not a quorum because Steve is delegated, so therefore the other selectmen don't go there. But the problem is here that the delegation, there's a statute, a specific statute, and the um, I got a quote here. Okay, the town and its voters or select board have no authority beyond that which is given by statute. That was no statute, and now we discussed that. So my question is, are we going to get transparency about the money, where you spend the money, what the contracts are about? It's my money, it's earnest money, but we're not allowed to know what's going on, despite the laws. Now let's talk about the laws, okay? Here it is. So rules. that all power being originally inherent in and inconsequently derived from the people, therefore all offices of government, whether legislative or executive, are their trustees and servants at all times in a legal way accountable to them. You're not being accountable to us. And then we have the open meeting laws, and like I was telling you before, everyone discounts the open meeting laws and aren't nothing. The open meeting laws are directly connected to the Constitutional. I just read you Vermont Constitution, Chapter 1, Article 6, accountable in a legal way at all times. And then VSA 311 says the same things, but they made it offensible. That is what the open meeting law is about. You can file a complaint and go bring it to Superior Court, only to Superior Court. That's the way it is. The government planned it that way because they want the laws to develop, case law, into case law. This situation happens and someone argues it and it becomes case law and it can be referred to in other cases. So, so in the VSA 311, which is the open meeting law, I'll read it to you. In enacting this subchapter, the legislature finds and declares that public commissions, boards, and councils and other public agencies in this state exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business and are accountable to them pursuant to Article 1, Number 6 of the Vermont Constitution. See, it refers to it. That is an open meeting law it parallels the Constitution. Vermont Constitution, Chapter 1, Article 6, of which at least 2 or 3 of you have, Steve in particular, were not going to comply. No, you didn't say that. I brought a complaint up, and I was trying to argue the open meeting, and you said we're going to stay the same, meaning you're not going to comply to these open meeting laws. And that disturbs me because of that, our right to know is being violated. I pay the bill. Steve does not pay the bill. The water bill does not pay it. I mean, Ernest pays it, but we're not allowed to know, even though there's Constitution, First Amendment constitutional law, and open meeting law that says you have to be accountable. But you came up with something that has been discounted it. You discounted it, and I brought you and read you the statute the last time I was here. Now the question is, are you going to comply to it? Let's test it out right now. I got some questions about the water meetings, the meetings that are not meetings. Okay? Okay, so I want to know, what kind of agreement do you have with Elliott Aldridge? I know you have some type of contract where they're paid consistently to do what? We don't know what. And what is it? What is that contract? And how much do you pay them? No. I want to know the very last contract. Steve, I'll tell you what, the last time I did this, about a year ago, I asked these questions. You dodged the question, first of all, and then I asked for it to be clarified, and you said, you will be muted. And you muted me, and then you threw me off the meeting. Remember that? Last January. Do you remember that? Because I was asking questions, the same questions. You don't want to ask, you don't want to answer questions about, are you going to mute me? Are you going to mute me, Steve, because I'm asking questions about money? I'm not okay. Would you like me to talk a little softer? Okay. So, Steve, you understand that I was asking questions about the water system, Elliott Aldridge, and your contracts with them and how much you pay them and what you're doing. We have the right to know, and it's been going on for years now. But I brought it out last time, and I gave you the statutes and everything. And now, because I gave you that, if you don't comply to it, it becomes willful non-compliance. Well, you know the laws. I told them to you. Unless you challenge them, which you haven't, it becomes willful non-compliance. We need to know the money, what you're doing, the contracts, because what happens, and I've been told this by state people, and I have a statute here, is that you make all your decisions, sign contracts, we don't know what's happening, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, like what happened the first time the water bill was increased. You had been doing this for years. You had been buying water. We don't know about it, and all of a sudden, the water bill triples. But see, in the way the Constitution reads, and it even says here, open meeting and public records protect our direct access to decisions that affect us. So we weren't being protected by that because you were not going to comply. You made that clear. I have videos of it and everyone. And I don't know who came up with that. Denise did that statement. But at this point, I'm going to say to Denise, in the open meeting law, if you inadvertently, you really didn't know, I'll say that, Denise, you really didn't know the law well enough, and you didn't look it up. You could have contacted VLCT, and I suggested that, but you didn't. But anyway, so at this point, I forgive you. I mean, I'll say it was inadvertent. You really didn't know the laws, and you thought that it wasn't a meeting because it wasn't done at a quorum. But the fact is, the statute was about delegating, Steve, and that statute included specific things you had to do to delegate, including being transparent, taking meetings. I mean, taking, what do you call them? Notifying the other two select board who are, by law, supposed to be involved in these decisions. Supposed to know what's going on. They're supposed to receive reports by you, but it doesn't happen. They just don't do the job. And, it's a big mess. And where do we go from here? So anyway, I want to know, what was the last contract you signed with them, Steve, and what did it concern? And how much did you pay them to do that? And do you have a contract that they get regular money? What I don't know. And what do they do for it? How much does that cost for that contract? Because they seem to be around all the time, but we don't know what's going on. We're not allowed to know because a meeting is not a meeting. But that's got to change. That's got to change. And I have a list. I'm going to be here every month. I want questions asked. It's been years. We don't know what they're doing, how much they're spending, and then what do we know? In 2 years, here's another increase for $300 because of this and that and this, and you tell us about it in 5 minutes with no details. Isn't that cute? And I just read you that open meeting and public records protect our direct access to decisions, but we don't get any transparency. We need transparency. We need to know what's going on. We need to know all the contracts. So start talking. Tell us about it. Do you have any questions, Ernest? Or you don't care? Or are you afraid of them? You're afraid of them. I know. You're afraid. You're intimidated. I understand. But I am not intimidated. I want clarity. I want transparency. Oh yeah. So okay. No. I want answer to that specific question. What was the agreement you have with Elliot Aldrich? Is it a year long? And what is it exactly is he doing? Are you building new wells? I heard a little tidbits about that. What's going on? We need details, lots of details. We pay. You don't pay, Denise. Steve Barrett doesn't pay, but he handles all the money with no transparency. You don't do that in a democracy. And you've got all these reasons why it's right. So that's what I want to know. What is the contract? How long is it? And what is the money you are paying them for? And then we'll go into what exactly they're doing. Are you working on another well? Building any new wells? You're not building any new wells. Okay, what is the price of the contract you have with them, and what is the endurance of it? What you, from what? Okay, so that's a new grant you're going for? This is a new contract you're submitting to the state for $25,000 for what purpose? Ongoing one for the last 3 years. So you contract by need. It's not an ongoing contract that they're at always there. More monthly payments. Well, I'll tell you, no. Don't tell me that. Denise said that once. I was looking for the reports you were supposed to give them. I picked that up. Those are just the expenses. This on the statute, you have to go by the letter of the statute. She is supposed to give reports to the other two selectmen to review and know what's going on. They don't do it. Jerry Waterman doesn't do it. He does. They don't exist. I've already checked that out. Denise doesn't do them. Are you going to start doing that? Or you know, you're gonna, and they're gonna actually, because they said, yeah, we got them. I think so. They were lying. You were lying. The Wilton were lying because Denise told me she never did any. She didn't do them because she didn't have to because a meeting wasn't a meeting. They're the liars. Oh, okay. Let's talk about that grant money. That $750,000. There were 7 meetings. We never were notified of the meetings. There was no reports made. And let me tell you something. There's no statute of limitations on violations of the open meeting law. You could still file complaints for them. Should I file 7 complaints in a row so you can, and then you could dig up what you actually did on those? That's what would be awarded by a judge. That's the kind of case. If you do make all of that, spend all of that money and all of these meetings, though they really weren't meetings though, you are accountable, and that's got to change. And we're never going to get that money back, Steve. We're never going to get that $400,000 you spent on hauling water when you had a preliminary assessment and plans, detailed plans to do it, and then when the grant money came, you bought another preliminary assessment at 500% more than you paid for the other one, which is basically the same, and you didn't use it. So, gee, does that stink or does that stink? Paying $110,000 for a preliminary engineering report plan, and then you don't use it, and then a couple of years later you get $750,000. You buy another one, but this time you pay $110,000 for it. I have Denise was kind enough to. She respects the law to a certain extent, and I appreciate that, Denise. I know it's hard for you. You're working for Barrup, you know what I mean, who is a genius at subterfuge. Huh? It was a compliment. It was a compliment, Denise. I appreciate your transparency. You've been with me, but I mean not 100%. But but you've but
Okay, enough.
This is not a personal attack. I said she has been transparent. I appreciate it. Steve? No, no transparency with Steve. I appreciate Denise. I respect her, and you did go out of your way to be compliant. I appreciate that. That's all. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That was a compliment. Don't turn it into an insult. I'm not trying to insult you. I am trying to get transparency. This town has been denied for how many years? And I would like to see it change. That's all. Look, that's all I got to say. You know what I mean? I'm going to be asking questions. Yeah, no, no, go ahead, go ahead. I'm done, but I expect transparency. I want more. On those 7 meetings, I want to know what you spent the money on. You're gonna have to come up with some way to explain those. You can. Is that agreed? I need to know what you how you spent that $750,000, and I want to give it to the water committee to look at how you. What? Uh, that's all right. I've just filed complaints, 7 of them. You can only file 1 complaint per issue. So I'm going to file 7 complaints. Either that or you start telling us what you spent the money on. How's that? Okay, thank you too. Yeah. So what does that what does that actually mean? I mean, you know, you would call me out of order if I talked about money. I talk about money. It's out of order. I was thrown out of the meeting by Steve a year ago because no, yeah. All right, go ahead, finish up. I thought you were done. You paused. You done? I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to comment on that if there's no one else. I came in here today to talk about rules and laws, and that's all I talked about. And you know, as far as being out of order, I believe that Steve was out of order the last time I tried to talk about these financial matters of the water system and threw me off the meeting, muted me and threw me off, muted me several times and then threw me out of the meeting. I have issue with that. That's abusive. It breaks 20 laws right there. And as far as you yourself told me no argument. Now I had a discrepancy with Denise, just a difference in opinion, and you shut me off right away. No, no argument. I wasn't arguing. And besides, as I said before, arguing is a legal term. That's what they do in court. That's the way our Constitution was created. Arguing. And I was told by the Secretary of State, Jenny Prosser. She said, you know, you can make this law about, keep the meeting in order. But you know, you've used it to get rid of me because I'm talking about something you don't want to give transparency on. And Jenny Prosser said a judge won't hear about little arguing, raising voices. That's all. That's all an excuse to not give us our constitutional rights. We have the right to know, especially about money. We're talking $1.2 million Steve handled, and a lot of questionable ways the money was handled, and no transparency. I'm done. So you say. I'm not seeing that. I see a lot of things we don't know about, and I have past complaints I have. Denise, I know you're just trying to cover up. That's what you do. But I still appreciate the amount of transparency you've given me so far. I like that, and I appreciate that. Steve gives no transparency whatsoever, just subterfuge, confusion, and I mean, I know you say that to make the people put on a show for them that you are right. You are, I mean, I don't see. I could name contracts that the 7 contracts that were not discussed at meetings. 7 of them to spend that $750,000. Do you deny that? Did you have any meetings? Did you let us, the public, know they weren't allowed to go? So that's a contradiction to what you just said. I mean, you said we always show you don't. When there's big money involved, we don't ask us, or else you'll be thrown out of the meeting. So, I mean, that's a contradiction right there. 7 meetings that you took to spend the $750,000, and you didn't take any minutes, and you didn't give reports to the other 2. It was all done in private. Good, move on. I was just responding to what Denise said. Thank you. Fucking ganging up on me. I had to fight back. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
You're not listening to this.
No, I caught up. Good. I don't want to be a road commissioner. I don't give a fuck.
Who is this bimbo?
No, that's Secretary of State. She-
Her?
Well, she was part of it. She gave an interview. She's got some
Alright, whatever.
a guest, Vermont
I
seat.
need these few things by Saturday. Okay. Wine, we're gonna need ground turkey, limes, lemons. I need lavender incense for sure. And I need some socks at the dollar store. I don't buy them at Walmart. They're overpriced and they suck. What the hell am I doing here? What's this? Why did this come up?
What?
Davies Court. Were you doing something
What?
on my computer?
What? I know nothing.
This document came up just now.
What is it? What the?
Oh my God, the one we did yesterday. I don't know why. Whatever. Who cares? We gonna watch David?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't tell you that the new rules. You're out of order. Did you hear what the new rules were?
Yeah. They said they tried. I told them.
They tried what?
I told them your rules. You've used them to shut
What
me
are
up.
their rules?
The same bullshit. Be polite. Don't argue. I said no arguing. Arguing is a legal term. It's acceptable. It's how our Constitution was created. And I've heard from the Secretary of State herself that arguing is not a reason to throw somebody out of a meeting. Or disagreeing.
No, of course not. Tell me when David's on. Yeah, I gotta call and get this sent to me tomorrow. Cause I'm gonna try it. Why not?
Shut off my
What?
I gotta stop recording.